Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ox Talks. It's Friday, May 10th, 2024. I want to start off by saying happy birthday to my brother Pete. Yes, he is my younger brother. And you realize how fast time goes when your younger sibling turns 50 years old. So happy birthday to Pete today. Thanks for watching and tuning in. Appreciate all of you helping to grow this community. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. But most importantly, share the videos with family, friends, and loved ones so we can continue to share this information and wake people up before it's too late. And we'll share some more economic news today that is concerning from the perspective of the consumer, concerning relative to real estate. The markets today finished kind of flat. The Dow was up about 100 points, but a good friend of mine who is a big market guy, trades every day. He's up early watching this stuff, keeping a close look on it and actively trading, said that his quote was, "The market has negative undercurrents." And he was down pretty big today, cumulatively on his positions, although the market didn't drop that much. So what are you guys seeing? If you're market people, what is your take? It seems like there is a sentiment shift underway. And let's see if that plays out next week. I see that cryptocurrencies kind of beat up this week. Not sure why. Again, comment if you know. Gold and silver have been putting on some nice gains the last few days. Silver pulled back a few cents today, but it's well over $28 an ounce. Yeah, that's a joke. That's pathetic, but it's still it's picked up some of the losses from the last week or so. Gold closed at $2,360 per troy ounce today, according to Kitco. So gold put on some nice, has picked up some nice gains this week. And look, at some point in time, you've got to consider, what's a real asset and what is not a real asset. And the line is probably going to be pretty clear at some point in time. And you'll either have real assets or you won't. And so, again, not financial advice. Everyone's got to do their own research and do what works for them. But I think you're seeing a lot of this is central bank buying as well. But you're seeing, going back to this sentiment shift, you're seeing continued gains in the metal space. And I'll leave that to your, let's say, assessment and your analysis as to why. From my perspective, it may just be the beginning. Let's talk about something that's on my mind this morning, and it's one of the portions of the title of the video about random people doing, or people doing random shit. And I was driving to work this morning. It was early. I got my coffee, 7:30 in the morning, something like that. And in the period of about 3 minutes, I encountered several different individuals that just looked totally like they're in the Twilight Zone. First guy's, dressed fine, a pair of jeans, shirt. I think he had a hood up over his head, but just walking aimlessly, had some kind of a drink in his hand, looked kind of off balance. Didn't seem threatening to me. I was driving, but I took notice of this guy in the parking lot where I was leaving. I pull out of the parking lot. I go down one block to a stop sign, and look next to me. There is a random guy just standing next to a tree, looking up in the tree, just staring up in the tree. He wasn't a worker of any sort. He didn't appear to have any reason to be there. He looked down at me. Again, I was in my vehicle with this blank stare, kind of an odd, just an empty look. So, okay, again, note to self, I pull down one block more to go into the gas station to get some gas in the car. And there's a group of guys hanging around the air and the water, area section there at the gas station. One guy's got a bicycle overturned with the wheel off, and he's trying to apparently fix a flat tire. There are 3 or 4 other vagrant-looking guys hanging around with him. So who knows what was going on there, if they're running a little business there, fixing bicycles or what. But kind of an unsavory group, not necessarily passing judgment, just observing, okay? So that was in the span of literally under just a few minutes, and it was early in the morning, relatively early. And so I don't know, let me know what, it's almost like Twilight Zone. We're seeing a lot more, homeless people out here, and I understand that, pushing these shopping carts that are about 7 feet tall, piled 7 feet tall, literally with stuff hanging off the sides. We're trying to, maneuver these things down the sidewalks. So, folks, we're heading into, really, really, I don't know, I don't want to use the wrong word, but strange times, and people are doing random stuff. And so we have to be very, very self-aware. We have to be understand what's going on in our surroundings, and you have to assess things so quickly, because if I wasn't in my vehicle encountering all those people at that time, who knows if it would have been a threat situation or not. But the point is, just be observing. And I'll give you one more example of a situation that I saw unfold a few days ago, where a lot of people sitting on a patio, an open patio of a restaurant, having lunch, were completely oblivious to their surroundings. So here at the office, we have a row of parking spots. There is, next to my building, there is a restaurant. There's a patio, usually very, very busy. It's a popular restaurant. And this guy is coming down the wrong way against the parking stalls on a dirt bike motorcycle, which they're not the quietest things in the world, the dirt bikes. And he had a helmet on, and he was going pretty fast. He flew by this patio where everyone was dining outside, and he kind of came right up next to my car, jumped the curb, and then he cut across 6 lanes of traffic. 3 lanes going one way, 3 going the other way. Pretty high speed traffic. Cars are moving down that road about 50, 55 miles an hour. He didn't get hit, thank goodness, but he was obviously in a bit of a panic mode. I could see in his eyes when I made eye contact with him when he drove by me, and it looked like he was trying to evade somebody. My first thought was I was going to hear or see police trying to chase this guy. I never did see that or encounter it, but he was obviously trying to get away from something or somebody. But the point is that as he flew by this patio, probably within 3 feet of where people were sitting there, literally eating their meals, having drinks with family, with young ones, with young kids, not one person, and I specifically noticed this, not one person that I saw even looked up from their plate, looked to the side from their conversation to ascertain what was going on. So again, we need to practice self-awareness and understand what's happening. Thank goodness that guy didn't present a threat to anybody right there. But again, it just falls in line with this whole sea change I'm seeing lately in people's behaviors. More random, more desperate, more just a lot of Twilight Zone behavior. And I'd like to hear your comments. Are you seeing this in your areas, in your towns? What are you experiencing, and what do you attribute it to? Let me jump into a couple of quick stories, news articles today. Consumer sentiment was out. Zero Hedge came out and reported on it. And it says consumer sentiment unexpectedly craters in the biggest miss on record as inflation expectations surge. So look, people are not believing that inflation's coming down. They're not believing the line of BS that the Federal Reserve is serving up to people, that they have inflation under control. They're not believing that the Fed is going to start pivoting and cutting rates. And it's starting to play out it has been, but even more so in these consumer sentiment numbers. Because again, what they're saying was the biggest miss on consumer sentiment reading on record. When you see things like that, we need to pay attention. We have to go back. We share stories all the time. We have to go back, decades to a point in time where the numbers or the data was that bad. So this is something else that we need to be aware of. And it says sentiment unexpectedly plunged from 77.2 to 67.4. The 9.8 point drop was the biggest since August of 2021. It was a 7 sigma miss to the expectations of a 76.2 print. That was the biggest miss ever on record. So the economists were so far off that they've never been this wrong. It says If that wasn't enough, the university's measure of buying conditions for durable goods, some of which are financed, also decreased to a one-year low. And finally, consumers' perception of their financial situation as well as short and long-term economic outlooks decreased this month. So what that means is people don't even believe that things are going to get better. And that's sad, because that, after a while, will weigh on people. It will weigh on motivation. It will weigh on productivity. It's going to lead to more suicides in this country, more depression, more prescription drug use. So, if people don't have hope, they don't see things turning around, we need to be very, very careful with where this is heading. It says, worse yet, consumers expect the pain to continue as expectations for interest rates deteriorated considerably this month. Only 1/4 of consumers expect interest rates to fall in the year ahead, compared with 32% in April. So consumers, we know the consumers are hurting. They're in bad shape. They can't afford to buy stuff anymore. They're putting everything on buy now, pay later, 4-pays, maxing out credit cards, but the sentiment is not improving. So the decline in sentiment also, well, let me read this to you. The collapse in sentiment was broad-based. This is important. Was broad-based and hammered both current conditions, which plunged from 79 to 68.8, badly missing estimates of 79, and also expectations, which plunged from 76 to 66.5, far below the 75 which was estimated. The decline in sentiment was broad across age, income, and education groups, and also reflected growing concerns about high interest rates. So while the labor market has driven economic growth over the last year, the downbeat assessment highlighted in the report adds to evidence of a slowdown. Next article is talking about mortgages and how what's happening now is the percentage of underwater mortgages in this country, meaning people that owe more on their homes than their home is worth, that percentage is starting to creep back up. And this is another sea change we have to be very, very careful of. We've had windfall property growth in this country over the last couple of years, and windfall equity, and that's starting to change now. The article is from News Nation Now, 17 hours ago, and it says around 1 in 37 homes are now worth much less than their remaining mortgage balance, according to new data released Thursday. Nationally, the share of seriously underwater mortgages, meaning homes with an outstanding loan at least 25% more than the market value, rose from 2.6 to 2.7% in the first quarter per real estate data from Atom. So if you have let's say you have a $1 million mortgage, that means that in these situations, the data they're sharing, the value of your property would be $750,000. Let's say you have a $100,000 mortgage. The value of your property is $75,000. So you're that much underwater. You couldn't sell your house unless you have the ability to step in and write a check to close the escrow to transfer it. Another thing you can't do is you cannot refinance your house because there's no equity to. It doesn't matter whether you're pulling equity out. People don't understand this. They think, we can just go refinance the property when the rates come down. This is something that is not being taught to people enough. If there's no sufficient equity, there's not enough cushion in the value of your home between the loan amount and the value, you cannot even refinance your mortgages to get a better rate, and of course not to pull out equity. So keep that in mind, folks, because don't forget, 2006, 7, and 8, that's what happened, is a massive amount of these properties fell underwater on their mortgages. It says, well, I covered that. Let me shift over to this page. It says the report found several states, particularly in the South, have significantly higher share of seriously underwater homes compared to the rest of the country. Louisiana leads the nation, where roughly 1 in 9 mortgages, 11.3%, are seriously underwater, according to the report. Meanwhile, Kentucky saw the largest quarterly increase, jumping from 6.3% to 8.3%. If a homeowner overpays and the property drops in value, they can slip into negative equity and become underwater on their mortgage. Well, say that if you overpay, that's one way. Another way is if the property value simply drops because the market drops. You could have paid fair value, but if the value of your home tanks because the market has a major decline and you leverage too much, it's another way you can find yourself underwater on your mortgage. So there's been less of a concern. That's been less of a concern for longtime homeowners who have seen their home equity skyrocket in recent years. But new homeowners haven't been as fortunate. And that's true because they haven't seen the kind of appreciation that some of the earlier buyers did. Last year, more than 10% of recent home buyers had properties that were worth less than what they owed. That's 10%. Stiff competition for limited inventory and elevated mortgage rates contributed to that. As far as major metros, it says, with the most seriously underwater mortgages, Baton Rouge, Louisiana tops the list, 13.4%. New Orleans, 7.3%. Jackson, Mississippi, 6.5%. Little Rock, Arkansas, 6%. And Syracuse, New York was at 5.6%. The share of equity-rich, listen to this is important as well. The share of equity-rich homes, that's defined as a property with a loan balance below 50% of the market value, also fell in the first quarter, down from 46.1% to 45.8%, according to the report. Today, it says just 21% of people think it's a good time to buy a home, tied for the lowest level on record, according to Gallup. Again, another lowest record on level data point. But that's important about those equity-rich homes, because what that means is property values are starting to fall. And that's why the equity values are coming down. I'm going a little bit long today, 17 minutes. I'll be leaving to get my workout in. I want to come on, say hello, and share a few things with you, and just let you know that we have some important stuff happening. I'm going to probably not be able to get a video up this weekend. I will touch base likely on Monday. I have some events I have to do this weekend. We have Mother's Day on Sunday, and we're spending it with the family. So I'm going to take a couple days off. It's been just a hectic last 2 weeks here at the office. Hope all of you have a safe, a healthy, productive weekend with family and loved ones. And again, appreciate all of you being here. I'll look forward to speaking with all of you here in a few days. Bye.